That's how I understood it too.
Pool started, right?
The pool?
Yeah.
Well, it's filled, I guess. I don't know if it opened.
Yeah,
It's
it's not
filled, but it's just not open yet.
correct. It'll be hopefully open on Wednesday, we hope.
Oh, okay, cause then Christmas time, I'm thinking your kids swimming tonight.
Yeah,
She doesn't have to come in town.
No swimming tonight for sure.
I gotta do that right now. Hopefully she just answers her phone when I call.
I have a week for
I have the worst time with her, so it's not answering.
college, Autumn was at a rodeo, I had to go pick her up.
Jill, am I missing, is there
Meet
credit
her
card
friends,
bills
they
in
have
here?
a pool.
I
That's only once a month,
Are you
so.
on, are you on your way
That's
home
the next
or
one.
coming
Okay.
back into town? Okay, pool is not open tonight. It'll be Wednesday, you said?
Hopefully Wednesday.
Hopefully Wednesday.
When the chemicals, they have to make sure the chemicals are good.
Oops, they kinda were naughty, okay. You wanna see this? Pass it through. Okay. Alright, well, they can't, but. Well, it isn't even open yet. Nope, they filled it and they're hoping we can open it on Wednesday. Alrighty? Yep, you bet. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
There you go. Happy other corrections and everything, just stay home.
Sounds like the kids have not been good riders in the car.
Is she babysitting?
She took them to look at a class and apparently on the way back, they weren't able, so. Yep. She wasn't selling too unhappy that it wasn't open. Don't worry about it. Did you sign this thing? I don't see your initials.
Here, I'll do that. Yes. Thanks for your time.
I think whose was that other phone, number in our text with Brian?
Janice Smith.
Jen? Who?
Janice Smith. It was, I think it was her work number or a different number.
It's her, this is her cell number.
Okay, I got,
Cause they gave this to me, cause I was still on that pool committee on the last paper, so she gave it to me.
or at least her cell phone number was shared in there, I guess. And I did call her today as well, so.
About Fifth Street, Jake was not taking that. He had gone out there and painted some lines where he thought we could quit and not go all the way to highway. And I went and looked at it. Especially if that's gonna be potentially torn up in phase 4, seems like he's probably right there to leave that.
I think so too. I just drove over it to look at it. He called me, so I took a look. I think that's,
So,
Are you okay with that? Yeah,
especially if we're gonna tear it back out, makes no sense to put it back in there.
I think that was one of the things when, I was still on, we paved the alley behind, and then we had to tear it up a couple times, that's,
Frustrating.
yeah.
do we have to sign these?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have any bills on the first meeting? Oh, it's over there.
That's over, yeah.
And that's the one.
I think so, there's like some stuff going on there.
You gotta sign on yours back here ways when you get to. It's towards the back, probably about down here or better.
459.
There's Ron, yours will be underneath there somewhere.
459, did I have a motion?
Call meeting to order. Begin with the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You guys could all turn on your microphones, please.
First of all, I'd like to thank the council members and all present here with regard to the flexibility in meeting a little bit earlier today. So some of us who would like to attend the funeral at 7 o'clock are able to. Okay, with regard to that, in pages, or first of all, I've moved to approve the agenda as stated.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, approve the minutes. Those minutes are found on pages 1, 2, and 3.
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
Favor second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, public input. For the. It's on.
Probably not.
That green light look at you, it's on.
There, now it's on. I'm here on behalf of the Outlaw Ball Association. I'm the president of the Ball Association, and we had our board meeting here recently, and we just wanted to thank the city for the partnership the last couple of years with a lot of stuff getting done out there, especially to Dustin. I don't see he's here today. I wanted to personally thank him, but put a lot of time in out there getting all the lights replaced here before the season starts for our games at the small fields. And I know he spent a ton of time out there, and I know he's been busy this spring, and he made that a priority. And we just wanted to thank the city for that, because we have had some issues with the lights over the years going out and stuff, and they're really nice. We had them on for our scrimmage here a couple weeks, or last week I think it was, and they're really nice. And also to, he's gonna be installing our scoreboards for us here soon and stuff, so we appreciate that. And Roger too, he's done a ton of work out there, and also appreciate the city installing the new sinks in our bathrooms. I know those were not functioning sinks for a lot of years. Little kids couldn't press them in, wash their hands and stuff. So we just wanted to thank you guys for the partnership, and for this program's really blown up here the last few years. We've got just so many kids involved in the program, and to have improved the facilities and working together, and the fundraising we've done. And if you haven't been out there, drive by and look at the new sponsorship signs that we've hung on the fields, and maybe try to get out there and check out a game if you can. I know, what was it, June 26th? If not June 26th, we got games going. We'll have softball and baseball games, and then we'll also have the teeners playing on the big field, so that'd be a good night to be out there. We'll have all three fields going, and there'll be a lot of people out there. So anyways, we just wanted to thank you guys for all that, so.
Well, on behalf of the council too, we'd like to extend our appreciation for the organizational aspect on your guys' end. And if anybody hasn't had the opportunity to go out there and see all the upgrades that Roger has done, and Dustin and the Outlaw organization, it'd be worth your time to go out there. I know I went out there the other day and noticed the safety features on the grandstands that are really nice now and stuff. So anyway, but thank each of you. Two nice, both those storage sheds are new out there, is that correct? Just the one?
On the north side of
On
the
the-
batting cage. The other one's been there, but it's so crammed full of stuff.
Okay,
They did reside that one last year.
Yeah.
So it was
Okay, oh, is that what it was? Because I thought, holy, I can remember doing one, but then I thought you might have got a 2-for-1 deal and stuff that we. Okay, but thank you. Any other public input? Hearing none, we'll move on to the department head report. Any questions to the department heads? Ron, not to little bit of insight with regard to dust control on the road out. I know we visited about that.
Yep, we usually put it out on the dump ground just because of the amount of traffic out there, the speed is probably the biggest thing. People coming in from the dump ground, coming back to town, going out, trying to get out there. Best time of year is actually when he's coming. He goes, I have a gravel road on my spot. He goes, I usually wait till the end of June, because if you put it out too soon, it runs out too early. If you put it later in June, it'll get you through your harvest time. And that gets busy at harvest because you have Arrow Brothers and Titan Machinery and all that. So, it's very expensive, that's why I'm just doing that.
Okay. And then I think there was a concern too with regard to the traffic out there and the speed of some of the individuals. This is coming secondhand report or firsthand report to me with regard to that. So that might be something, and I know those individuals out there with the dust, and especially if it's an easterly wind, it creates an issue and stuff of that
It's
sort.
almost worse when there's no wind because the trees just,
Yeah.
just hang.
Ron, would it help periodically to water that?
Can, but when you got a day like today, in 20 minutes it's gone.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you put 1,000 gallons of water on it, you think, wow, it's gonna take forever to dry, but when you put 1,000 gallons over a large area, it just flashes. The racetrack is a good friend.
I was just gonna say, as a good example, last Saturday, we had a race that was windy, we put 86,000 gallons down.
When we do I shouldn't say when we do, typically we try to use the county's tanker, which is 5,000 gallons, because a 2,000 gallon tanker can't get enough water on them when we're having a big dry event.
Okay.
Have to have water
It just
restrictions.
doesn't work,
But-
right, and we had that last year too.
Yeah. Okay. With
Now, once you put the dust control stuff down there, what it does is pulls moisture out of the air.
okay.
It's magnesium chloride. All these other dust helpers, I've tried them, I have not had good luck with it. Reading it to the T. I mean, you literally metered the water in there because you mix it with water, it does not work.
Okay.
Mag chloride's the only stuff that works. So, it pulls moisture out of the air. If it's a dry summer day, if it's dry in the air, there's moisture in the air, it doesn't work. Sometimes you will sprinkle a little bit on there and it'll hold it in there for a while.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Excuse me, John, when are you gonna be doing the parking strip?
Usually before the 4th.
I'm having trouble with that.
Okay, and we also said the citywide cleanup is
Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday.
Thursday, Friday.
of this week.
This week.
Okay. With that regard.
The intention is for the people who can't take care of it. Over the years, if you spread the paper, over the years, we've actually had people want us to haul their trailer that's already loaded out the dump. And they've abused it. And, this year we got a little bit tighter. It's a bunch of crap when we have to do their work.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing, especially after the storms we've had with all the trees that have fallen off. Last year, when we had that derecho come through, we hauled, I think it was a Wednesday, we loaded everything up because it was too wet to dump. We hauled Thursday, Friday, Monday. Lucky for me, I got COVID, so I got to go home, but the other guys had to work the rest of Monday and part of Tuesday hauling it out. So in theory, our trees should be quite a little less, but I would sure think that would have wiped out some of the problem
All right.
areas, I would say. Not saying there won't be any trees, because we all have trees that go fall down and
Huh.
whatnot. But I've looked at the list today and it looks pretty decent as far as tree limbs and whatever.
Okay. And then with regard to that, for those who are able to take their items out to the dump ground, it is free dumping those two.
I don't know that.
You don't know yet?
I don't know that, that's the county's, that's up to
Okay.
them to do that, so. And that's one of the reasons some of our list is, we used to haul carpet, we used to haul a lot of stuff out there, computers. Last year, we loaded a bunch of computers to all operators, so I can't take them, so I had to pay $100 to unload about 12, 15 computers and copiers.
So
I had to take that to Peter.
city cleanup, isn't that usually free dump day or no?
That's
In the past?
That's if the county chooses to do that.
Okay, and
Yeah, they
was,
usually have it a different weekend.
they have it a different weekend? Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
I don't know if he's going to this year or not. That's not my decision, so
I
Don't
just,
know how
I
to
thought
answer
maybe you
that.
coordinated it together.
we used to do it a week after he'd have his. Then these trailers would be unloaded. So,
right.
I don't believe he did one or is going to, but I don't know yet.
Jan, have they notified you with regard to that?
No discussion at all.
And that's my fault, because I should have at least, I assumed something that I shouldn't have assumed. That I thought they might, well, they
I
didn't,
just
yeah,
assumed he was gonna do, because
Yeah.
he usually does,
Yeah.
but it's a different operator out there too.
okay, all right, okay. Any other additional questions for Ron, Terry, or Ted? Shayla, go ahead.
I probably could add two on Fifth Street.
Yes,
Um,
oh, go ahead, please.
Tom and I drove over on Fifth Street, and the idea was possibly tying in from the highway and putting hot mix mat down and tying in with everything west with the project. But half that block might come up with a phase 4 project, and it's like $15,000 to do. And I don't think it makes sense to spend $15,000 for maybe a year or two digging it back up. That part of the street isn't actually too bad. There's a little bit of work that needs to be done on the side, right along the curb edge, but we have use of the county's, patch machine, which you can blow the dust and dirt and stuff off, and then puts actual oil down, and then rock comes on it, and then you can seal that way. So I think that's the best thing to do, because as far as the center of the road, it's not too bad, it's got a pretty decent surface. If it was a little rougher, yeah, maybe, but I don't think we can justify it right now. Especially it looks bad if we tear up what we just put down. We took a beating over on this alley, I don't wanna do it again if we can help it.
And after you said you're gonna have it swept and then patch, and it's pretty good shape. I mean, it's not, it's nice chip seal, it's just patching and it shouldn't be a problem with regard to traffic.
There's a few cracks in it, but these streets are gonna, if you look, there's cracks in this new one. I mean, asphalt moves when it gets cold and it comes back together when it gets hot. South Dakota has got pretty big temperature variation, and that's the big problem.
Okay.
We don't have any moisture right now, but
How are you gonna do the other half of the half?
that other half's gonna get done. That's pretty tough.
Okay. Any questions? Any of the 4 department heads that are here? Okay. Hearing on unfinished business with regard to Northview Drive. And for Tim.
We have an issue with the way the codes are written now, because they're contradicting to each other, but what we have kind of discussed and the council needs to talk about is the precedent set in the past is curb and gutter was always paid by the homeowner, and that's what's always been done in the past councils. The way the codes read right now is we have to pay to put a road in front of that property, at least an access road where it'd be gravel. We'd have a lot of issues if we were to put a brand new spanking asphalt road in front of the house right now, when we have a lot of places in town that don't have it, and they just have a gravel road. But we were just gonna have to work with you on at least getting you access, so where you can at least have a maintained road of some sort to some level. So you're gonna have access through construction season and through it, and then we have to work out what we're gonna do with the developer that shares the lot space on the other side, and then try to get all that ironed out, cause we don't have any precedent as far as a new development since the new codes come
Code,
out,
yeah.
or we got redone in 2016. So this is kind of a first time issue, but we were gonna have to talk with Ron and all that about how it gets engineered and all of that, but we were hoping that we could just work with you on at least, we can get you a road to access the property, and then have to work out the fine details of what goes where, whether it goes to Mike, goes to you, goes to the city, and stuff like that. If you have any other, any,
What are we talking as far as, you gotta sit down and discuss these things, meet about it, or?
I think what we're looking at, we're gonna get something in there for you so you have access to your home. In the present ordinance, there's some contradictory things, but I think that in good faith, that we have to, we'll put a road in there for you. And then as we move forward, you know, with regard to, I'm thinking right now, we just put it, you know, so you have access to curb, or the gravel road, so you have access to, and then moving forward, we'll look at that. Because I know precedent has been, if somebody bought a lot and did put down, wanted curb and gutter, the homeowners put the curb in, and then the city put the, at that time, it was chip seal, you know, with regard to that. But we will get something there for you so you have access to your home.
So for clarification, access to the home, that, he doesn't have to negotiate that? The city will give him access, or you're
Could be.
gonna have to negotiate that?
according to the codes, the way it reads is our past precedent is not going along with the current codes that were redone in 2016. The past precedents before 2016.
So just for their sake, are they, before this all happens, do they pay for a road or the city?
It's up to city discussion,
Yeah.
but the way it reads, we're gonna have to pay to put a road in.
Okay,
in front of
that's
the
what I,
house.
Yes.
the way I thought it read, but
Yep.
I didn't know if you'd found anything out from legal or anything. Well, that's what I
Yeah,
thought, he
yeah.
doesn't wanna find out
No.
later that he's gotta come up with $5,000 for a road.
The deal is, when I first started working in 1985, a yard of gravel was 50 cents. A yard, which is 2,000, give or take, 2,700 to 2,850 pounds per cubic yard. Now, it's $14 a ton. So when I drive by with a dump truck load, you're looking at $120+ in that truck, just a single truck.
Mhm.
So the monies have went crazy, you gotta crush it to work with it. You can't just use the pit run, it doesn't work. It has its places, but it's not on the road. That's why we kinda revamped it, but I don't think the verbiage is correct on there. I'm
No.
backing you guys, the
Yeah.
verbiage shouldn't have been the way it is.
That's
I'm
correct.
not an ordinance person,
Yeah.
so.
Well, in fairness, to let you know, we had a meeting on the teleconference, or the city attorney was there, and she concurred with regard to, you know, our intentions to do what we said was going to be done, but then the code is going to be afterwards, you know, changed a little bit, so it's more precise what responsibilities is to whom, you know, with regard to that. But right now, we will get a road, you know, access for you.
The one thing we need to know too, at the time of say you want curb and gutter, we usually prep the area for curb and gutter, and then the company comes and puts the curb and gutter. But you need to know the flow, what direction's that water going? I'm guessing it's gonna go west, but engineering, we may change that. So, you know, some might go east, some might go west. I'm not an engineer.
Okay.
He was my teacher, he knows I'm no engineer.
Well, I was gonna go one up on you. When I first started pouring concrete, it was $18.25 a yard, so I'm gonna, so your gravel, I'll trump your gravel. Tim, do you have any questions or concerns?
Yeah, I mean, the only, obviously, I know what you're talking about with the conflict in some of the ordinances. You know, when I look at it, I was just looking at it before I came in here in this section 3491, when it talks about the developer responsibility, and it mentions the stuff in there, but then it talks about certain improvements are as follows, and the only thing it lists is putting the pins in the property, right below that. So that's under the section of developer responsibility, and then there's separate sections for all those other things, which, again, the way I read that is, those are all separate from that developer responsibility, and all those sections specifically point as city responsibility for those areas. Does that make sense?
And the part that we struggle with is there's no section in there, and I don't know what the book looked beforehand, but I don't see a section that is completely saying brand new construction. You know, I just hate how it's all in just improvements
Well, it's
section.
under the street servicing, it says all such streets and alleys shall be constructed
Yep.
by city employees.
Yep, and I see that as well.
Sounds
So
like
the construction,
your initial
but then it's subheading of the surfacing. So I'm agreeing that it is very confusing because the definition of a surfacing is a road's already there and you're just putting a new surface on it. That's why we're struggling with interpreting the way it says.
Street surfacing, I would say, is different than street constructing.
The intention, and I was here when they did that, the intention was to the developer to do it.
In this scenario, are you the developer or is Mike?
Mike developed that whole, where he has the housing, didn't he? Isn't that a development?
Well, he developed over here, but Tim's over here.
Yeah,
It's on
Tim's
the other
across
side
the
of
street
road.
from,
Tim is
It's
crossing.
just the two lots.
Yeah.
That one got sold.
The curb got done by, not all of it was done at the same time, but the curb there was the same time that it east 10th Street, Donlin Drive, and East 2nd Street. 50% of the people, 50% of the landowner footage said, yes, we want it done. Or 51% or whatever that number is, and the other ones had to put the curb in, and they had to pay for that curb. Whatever it was per foot on the bid, and then if you had 75 feet, you paid for 75 foot of it, and you had, 5 years to pay it off.
Which a lot of times went on to a
tax
property tax and then it was automatically
Yeah,
paid.
what do they call it, assessment?
assessment, yeah. Special
So
assessment, yeah.
that's how them curbs got done there by Vista.
In a perfect world of development where they're selling lots has already got the street developed before someone buys a lot. That is the whole part of an actual development. But we're kind of,
My brother-in-law did that by rural Harrisburg. He had a quarter of land to turn into houses. He did the road there.
because then they can put the cost of all that into the lot before they sell a lot. And that's why we're struggling, because technically I don't have the exact the footage, but then you would be the developer of that first, I can't remember the foot, the 100 foot or 120 feet, where you are half of the developer technically, because it's undeveloped land right there. So you'd have to share the, what's that?
Does he get the name of the street?
If the street sign's on your
We'll have
corner,
we'll have the two kids flip on whose name is gonna be, right?
so. That's why we're struggling. We've been talking with a lawyer on what's right. According to how it's written, even just tell us what's right, and even they're struggling with telling us what is right as well, so.
And the struggle from just interpretation, we know what we're gonna do, but just more or less moving forward, getting something more concrete or more precise with regard to things.
Okay, so where do we go from here?
You're gonna get a street.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about like,
But not curb and gutter.
plans or discussion
No.
of how and when? and all
Right,
that
we're
stuff?
gonna, you're entitled to at least a gravel street, we know that for sure, where we can build you a gravel street to grade, that'll be maintained.
Okay. And that, will that go the length of the property?
Yes.
To your driveway.
Well, he's got two, cause he's
Yeah,
got
two
that.
lots there.
Oh, that's right.
It's gonna be like,
So it's,
That's up to
it goes
these-
250
These
feet to the
guys
west.
to decide that.
It goes
Yeah.
250 feet to the west of their path. And that dirt path that's there is not.
That doesn't
right.
line up.
Not the right
I
spot.
stood up there the other night and there's a post on the edge of our property line. And I stood about 12 feet from that post, which would be the curb, if there was a curb there. And it was like in the middle of that dirt path. And so that's gotta come south. I mean, the actual road would be south of that probably 20 feet.
We got other roads like that too.
Which means the boulevard's gonna be all clay.
It started out as a contractor going across the prairie, and then he made another path, and next thing you know, it got dirt, and now it's, everybody just will call it a road.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it looks like a road, but
Yeah, yeah,
if you get some water on there, it's just clay and mud.
Yep.
That's my biggest concern, is getting into the driveway, you're driving through clay, if it's
Right.
wet, and it's a mess. You get stuck in there if you don't have four-wheel drive, so.
It
Without,
won't be that.
And I think it was discussed last time that the electrical and everything has to be done
Yeah, it doesn't make,
before
it doesn't
the
make
road?
sense to build a road to turn right around and have them dig through that gravel at $168, just $168 per ton, per tandem axle truck. They haven't put dirt on top of gravel, that's.
Does the
you
city
gotta
own
do
where that road goes?
It's an easement.
I mean, like we would a normal city street?
I think it
I would
probably
assume
is,
so, cause it's planned for a road.
it's platted for a road, but I don't know that Mike ever actually deeded it to us, it
So
was,
does that need to happen before we put?
yeah, it
a
probably
road
should,
there?
yeah.
Good-
Mike should
good
probably
point.
do that.
Yeah, that would
Good
be
Cause
point.
it's platted, but it's still Mike's property,
Okay,
he owned all of that property, and
Yeah.
he did not deed us that Northview Drive.
I just assumed it came with the road plan.
Well, it's, the curbs even allow, the
Yeah.
curb comes in like,
It's cut
it
out.
goes west.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And there's a utility easement on the line.
Yes.
It's coming.
Well, there's sewer running through there, so,
Is there a sewer underneath there already?
yeah, it runs across about where that road is, but I think it's farther south than the opening of the curb, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of it might come, you know, might angle. There, I don't know if it's real straight.
So for them to attach our sewer line, they can come straight to that road, or they gotta go,
I'm all for getting a road there, but I think we should make sure that we own that.
yeah,
first.
absolutely, good point.
the electrical situation, I talked about putting the electrical in first, before they put the road in. And let's just say that you were to do that in July, just hypothetically, and you gotta run the electrical in there first.
There you go, electrical right there on, there.
Oh, off that transformer by the church.
Yeah, but I also got a sectionalizer, right there to the north.
Okay.
So it's
So
right there, that's
They
your
can just-
property.
Oh, so we're good there?
Yeah, you're good, I wouldn't put electrical
Under the road?
on,
Okay.
That's all typically in the back of the property, so. The easement's actually way to the south of the lot by them trees. It's even a lot farther down.
Before you get to
Shayla.
whatever, 9th Avenue or whatever.
If you go, keep going, keep going,
But
keep
you're
going.
talking about
Down
that
here?
right there.
Yep, that's where the electrical easement is on that
Oh,
on that plat already, so.
there's probably a storm sewer right in there too.
So water's in the road, but electrical's typically in the back of the lot.
So they're ready, I mean, they can.
Yeah, I mean,
But I just,
you go and clear up.
that was my question, if they gotta run electrical to it, then do I gotta start paying surcharges on electricity right away?
As soon as you have the
Once I
meter.
got it, so I got it first out.
You okay, Tim? Any questions?
So,
there's my,
Are we gonna be able to go to the two lots, I mean, with the,
Yeah, I could, but like I said, I don't have a clue how wide that road
Yeah,
is.
we-
What that decision is to me, 'cause, I mean, I got right of ways that are 94 feet to 66 feet, each road's different, I got one road that's 3 foot different than another, one end to the other, I mean,
And that's the struggle with this
Well,
property is,
I
yes,
don't
it's,
have any here, Cole, so.
it's platted,
So,
but it's not engineered. That's the struggle.
right,
where-
right, it's 66 foot right away, but you're not gonna get a 66 foot street. You're probably gonna get a 32, I'm guessing. 32 is a good number. It's too big, it's not good. You don't want it any smaller.
Probably want the same as the one across the road, wouldn't you?
Probably, I would
Curb's
assume,
cut- curb's
I would
cut out for
assume,
that bit.
yeah, I would assume that's
It's
what
pretty
you
much
want.
straight across
Okay.
to that same road.
Okay.
It would look nicer too if they matched, I think.
Right, right. But you know, I like you say, I got streets that literally do this. I mean, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but there's 4 foot difference on First Street from one end to the other.
Can you put together a cost for us on that? What that,
I need to know the dimension of the road
So you, what,
and the,
measure
and the
that curb
length,
width?
and length and of the dimension. I'm assuming you're gonna go off distance, so yeah, I could probably start anything.
So according to this, then city engineer has to engineer according to the way it's written now. And I'm in the dark, so I don't know what engineering and all that costs. We've been around.
I could ask Camden when they're up here or something.
Okay. Right? Anything else? We'll move forward then.
What are we talking for time frame?
Well, we,
It's up to the engineer first.
yeah, we'll talk to Camden, make sure that's our, it's our property, or the city's property, and then we'll move forward with regard to that. So, say if things fall in line, you know, pretty good, is you have nothing to be committed to, but do we have a somewhat of a, huh?
A week.
A week?
Weather, obviously, will dictate.
Because
If
when
I
we-
could use the county's cap would help too, which they're pretty good at letting me borrow their.
When are you hoping to break ground?
July-ish.
So, we're in the time frame then.
I mean, and that's stuff we're still working on.
You still gotta dig and stuff like that, and that gives a little time, but.
And it's still not finished or anything like that, so.
Are you building the house on site or having it brought in? You're building on site?
The biggest thing is like water and sewer, if you get that in first before I do any gravel and save a lot.
More than likely it won't be on the road.
Come from here also with the electric?
Yeah, so just depending on the sewer. Whichever sewer's the shallowest, that's the one you want to.
Yeah, that could be very deep there, right?
Okay,
Would you be able to get a hold of Mike and see if he could get a deed to the city for that road?
Sure.
I'm gonna be gone all week for a conference, otherwise I would take care of it, but I just don't want another week to disappear before we could maybe get that
Sure.
into work.
all right. Good, all right. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to new business. Tanner?
I have a copy for everybody. Just came up with 2 towns, bigger towns around Sioux Falls area. It's Brandon and Sioux Falls. What they allow and what they don't allow. So to start out, I would like chickens and Miller just because Sioux Falls allows them, and if we're a farming community, why not allow chickens? I've raised rabbits for probably 10 years, started since I was probably 4. And Sioux Falls, they allow 6 chickens or rabbits on personal land without a permit. Permit is required to keep more than 6 chickens and or rabbits. A permit is also required if a resident wants to keep a duck, turkey, or goose. So the reason I picked Sioux Falls is because of us 2021, Sioux Falls population was 196,528 people, which is a lot bigger than Miller. I assume Miller's probably 1,500 people or so. So on what I was hoping to get was kind of just to go along with Sioux Falls and Brandon, chickens, I'd hope to get 6 to 10 chickens, 10 being the most and 6 being the least. And no roosters. They should not. You can allow them on your property to be loose as soon as they turn to other people's property. There should be a rule against that, so they can't go to other people's property. If you have a code enforcer, I believe you still do. I've seen him walk around too. He should still kind of, the city ordinance you guys have that have kind of paid attention to my rabbits is the area has to keep clean. And so if the chickens would be the same, because they need to stay clean, otherwise you'll have a whole bunch of diseases. I talked to my grandpa, which was the former mayor, and he said that Miller used to have chickens and then they got rid of them for, like I said, they're going on to other people's property and people are not liking that. And then people started to get roosters, and I've seen after just driving around chickens in town already. And I don't know if there's an ordinance against that, I didn't look into that, but a lot of kids learn responsibility from them, especially they could use them in 4-H and FFA, and it's not just that. Of course you won't allow goats or cows, but chickens are just about like rabbits. They don't make noise, and if they do, it's hardly ever. And if the people of Miller can keep them clean, I think that'd be better, because I don't remember if it says on here, but the distance from any door or window of a house is 25 feet within those guidelines. This is on Brandon's. The coop can be up to 30 square feet with a run up to 60 square feet, up with 6 hens are permissible but not to breed, and can be only for the family's competition, no resale. So that's kind of what I was thinking of Miller. You shouldn't breed them, and you can't have roosters, so I don't think that'd be a problem. But 6 hens, I think, is still a lot. But if you were to go up, I wouldn't say go more than 10, because just you think of them. If someone gets a disease in one neighborhood, then it's going to keep spreading. Then things are going to die out. And then you'll have a huge problem, and people will be super mad. And then in Brandon it also says fencing needs to be 2 inches or smaller between slats. Like some yards, I noticed. Can't think of what street it is. It's over by where Peyton Reese lives. Their houses are so close together. You shouldn't have, say, the fence line right on your property line. Give it a good, 25 feet is kind of what I was going for. And you should, if you really wanted them and you were going to put them close to your neighbors, when I got rabbits, I always asked if it would bother neighbors, and they didn't care, so I actually gave them rabbit manure for their garden. But there's not much different between rabbits and chickens. They both barely make noises, and if you allow chickens, there should be no roosters, because nobody wants to hear that at 5 o'clock in the morning. But, it's a yes or no question, but there should be no breeding. You shouldn't have any trouble with that. And you should have a strict limit on and have that court enforcer make sure the area is clean. So that's all I got. Any questions?
Good job.
Okay.
I don't remember any of you guys, when you were in government class, bringing up a ordinance of any sort like this and stuff.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. Good job. Good job, Tanner. As you know, we do have an ordinance in place right now that prohibits chickens. It allows rabbits. And what we could do is we could defer your request to our zoning committee with the possibility of implementing a new ordinance. You know, you could piggyback off some of the research that Tanner's done, and
Yeah. I know our daughter, she just got 4 chickens in tea.
yeah,
Our kids have them in Brandon.
Do they?
all our
Yes.
chickens.
This chicken right here was a resident of North Hand County last night. Now it's a resident of T. Along with 3 others.
Would there be any need that, I think the thing of it is that I was in Millbank a couple weekends ago and I had to stop twice for 3 guineas that just decided that they weren't going to cross the street in a very speedily manner, whatever. Anyway, are we just talking about, is there something else you would incorporate other than chickens and rabbits?
I
Not-
think just chickens and rabbits.
Okay, I'm okay with
Guineas
that.
are
Yes.
renegades, number one,
Yes, they
and
are.
number 2, they're very, very extremely noisy.
Yeah,
Yes, ducks are very messy, I can speak for
Yes.
our experience, they're very messy.
okay, all right, so
And they're squawk, they talk a lot.
they talk a
Yeah.
lot. Line?
Yeah, I don't think there's
I
any,
was gonna say, mine lives in her house.
I don't think there's any objection to the actual chickens itself. We just need
No.
to make sure we do,
Yeah,
cross our
just have
T's and
it
dot
in-
our I's on more
in
of the
our
coop
ordinance.
situation. That's
Yeah,
gonna
okay.
be,
Well, then now we're gonna have
Aberdeen.
free range
I
chickens.
just saw this was on the agenda, so I just looked it up, saw something for Aberdeen, they have a pretty detailed
Yep.
ordinance on it that I was just looking at, and a lot of it's on the coop situation.
and maybe
You know, you
that's,
can only have so many in a small area, and that's a big thing.
Yeah.
is How big your area is.
Most cities have 6 to 7 chickens as their limit
6 to
in
7?
town.
Mm-hmm.
I like that number, I guess,
Yeah.
is that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think the biggest issue is gonna be more of the coop situation than anything else.
Okay,
And if they get loose, we're sicking Ted after you.
He's gonna have chicken for supper.
So do you want to send it to zoning and planning? or-
yes, yes.
I would make that motion.
Okay, motion is made to defer Tanner's request to the zoning and planning committee.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Very good. Tanner, great job.
Yeah.
If you would be a
Yeah.
senior and I'd still be teaching, you'd have an A right now for government. I'm gonna tell you that.
He would have never told me that.
Okay. Microcom contract, that's all found on page 8.
Contract we have.
Yeah,
with
Terry.
the Water system. We sign this contract every year and wanna do it again. And take care of all our SCADA system for our water and sewer system.
Is there any change in the cost from last year?
I don't think much.
Okay. Well, I move to approve it.
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion and a second. All of, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, now, we have the water and sewer project. We have pay request for Olson. A is Olson pay request number 21 for $52,367.02. That's on page 9. Then B is Olson change order number 9. That's found on page 10. Then SPN invoice 3/13/72, 31/37/7, and 31/37/9, totaling $41,516.54, and those are found on pages 11 and 12. Did I say that right?
Yeah, but they changed that from when I got it.
So what's the correction on
No,
that?
I was looking at the wrong thing, that's correct, sorry.
Okay, all right.
So we want three
We-
separate motions.
Yes, 3 separate motions on each one of those requests. So we'll look at,
With the note saying that all of these invoices are on track with the project's budget. Make a motion to pay the request number 21 for $52,367.02.
motion's been made, have a second?
Second.
Oh,
Okay,
didn't have it.
I'll let you two
I'll make the,
discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Pay request number, or the number, letter B, Olson change order number 9 found on page 10.
I move to approve change order number 9.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, SPN invoices, as I read those, two for $41,516.54. Those are on pages 11 and 12. Are there any questions with regard to any of these or clarifications we have to make just for public purposes? I think they're pretty,
I move we pay SBN invoices 31372, 31377 through 31379 for a total amount of $41,516.54.
have a motion?
A second.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. On item number 4, next Monday, June 12th, have a special council meeting for the, for 2 proposals for city insurance.
Do you have a time for that? Would that be 7, or are we looking at an afternoon? or-
I would,
You
I would,
guys decide, that's part of the,
I don't think it matters to me.
I might have a church council meeting that night, but, you know, I don't know for sure. They usually do 6:30.
have both
Evening.
parties been, opposed parties been notified?
I think Mike talked to you, right? Mike was supposed to talk to you about it, like 2 weeks ago.
I mean, he said you guys were gonna discuss it, but I guess he never told me if I needed to be there or.
Okay, what the plan is to bring the 2 groups, interested insurance agents or groups to come in and have a special council meeting. That's all we talk about with regard, you know, just more or less an opportunity to give your proposals, you know, and I know
Full council.
you met with the council, we had your information, and that way it just give you an opportunity to put it before the council and
And they would each come individually, and it would not be a,
They'd both be here.
They come in at the same time and discuss.
That's what I always did when I quoted insurance, there was everybody there that would quote me, was there together. That
So
way
you
you
want us to re-present our proposal again?
well,
well, that way the rest of the council gets the full picture that the committee got.
Is there a reason that SDPPA didn't wanna give a presentation to the committee?
They would have done both, but they wanted to make sure they got the full council because the committee can't make a decision, it has to be the full council to make the decision. So if they would have talked to the committee can't make that decision without the full council approval.
But the
So
other
they would rather
insurance
come to
did.
the full council or both, so.
I can see either one of those groups having a little bit of reservation about coming in and giving a cost proposal in front of the other group.
I would not be.
I would think that it'd be
Supported
better to
that.
have like
I
one
would-
time for that one and another
If you wanna
time
do a
for the
time
other
slot,
one.
They
Yeah.
said it'd take about half an hour for theirs, so if you
Okay.
wanna do
Because,
7 and 7:30 or,
and then they don't need to be here when they're doing theirs or vice versa. I think it'd be better if there was just that entity
yeah,
at
whatever.
one time.
would
I know I did help
give-
my wife for years.
Is it a closed meeting or is it a?
It's a public.
public meeting.
It has to be a public meeting. You guys can't make a decision on something like insurance without it being a public meeting.
Are
We
making
can
a
hear the
decision or are we just
proposal.
hearing proposals?
Yeah.
We can hear a proposal, we can't take action, but you could certainly hear a proposal.
What is
in
the
executive
deadline
session.
for,
July 9th.
so we're scraping right along to the deadline
Close.
again?
Yeah.
What you can do is meet in executive session each.
Each one, so that it's
and then come
not,
out and make your decision.
there you go, that's what I would,
There.
in fact, I would make that a motion.
Okay, do you wanna do it
What
at
time?
7?
7 and 7:30, and you work out who,
Half an hour be long enough?
June
Does
7th,
that work
7,
for you?
I have
And
to
7:30.
check with you, I mean, are you wanting us to re-present our proposal a little bit? Because you guys know that, I mean, that was a 2-hour proposal.
And has,
I
The
don't,
new-
they might take a half hour, I can guarantee ours will, it's gonna be longer than that.
so has the new council heard a proposal like he presented?
The committee
I've
has.
heard.
The committee
Committee
has,
has.
from
The
him
committee
and
did, yeah.
No,
No,
not
I
the,
was under the impression that we were gonna get a proposal from American Trust Insurance, and then we were also gonna get one from SDPPA, but that didn't
Well,
happen.
they ran out, like this whole week, they're all, last week they were at a county convention, this week they're at a city convention. So they're out of time, I mean, they could come on the 12th and do it if you want, and then make a decision if you want just the committee here. But the committee,
Yeah.
that's a lot of information, if I was to make that
Mhm.
decision, if it was my deal, I would want to present to the whole council.
Mhm.
Because what you present for me isn't maybe what I want you to present, cause I mean, insurance isn't your business, right? So I would want to present to the whole council if it was me, like I mean, I used to do this, I did a lot of businesses and whatnot, so I did this, so I always presented to the full board, or council, or whoever was responsible. That's my commission, I want to make sure you, those that didn't hear the proposal originally would want to understand.
No, I get that completely, but on the same token, if you discredit the committees, then why have committees? I mean, if we're not gonna present to the committees, why have them?
Well, there's a problem is that you're gonna have your committee, you're gonna have your committee meeting, committee makes a recommendation and they can't vote on it until the next meeting, so we're out of time. Which is why we need to kinda do,
Well, we
we need to
could
push it through.
There's
These
no
dates-
reason the committee couldn't meet with them and then make the recommendation, we could have a special meeting or whatever.
It's kind of their fault, they didn't get it done in time.
That's how this is gonna go.
After we
That's
left
why they did it.
that last committee meeting, that was the impression that I was under.
Saying nobody passed that on to me, I did talk to South Dakota Public Insurance Line, they said they would be happy to do a committee meeting and then a council meeting. I talked to Mike said, we're running out of time, let's just do a council meeting with everybody, with both parties here. And he said that like 2 weeks ago, right after cause I said, do you guys want a special meeting? Do you want a committee meeting? And he said, it's totally up to SDPAA, and they said, well, we'll do both or for sure council. They didn't want just committee, they wanted the full council too.
I also have a question, I guess. I'm running a business for the city, and then I'm also a citizen. Is there any way that I can get in? I mean,
It's a public meeting, you can come in and make input.
but I would like to hear it too. Is
But
there
if
any
it's-
way, you know what I'm saying? If you guys have an executive session, I mean, like, am I invited? Cause it affects the electrical department quite a bit too, as far as I'd like to know the coverage between the two also. You know what I'm trying to say?
And I have to make sure that that would follow under an executive session. I don't know that it would. It would follow under a committee meeting, but I don't know that an executive
We'd
session.
have to probably leave it open, wouldn't we?
I can
Was
talk,
the last one?
It was a
that was
committee.
committee. Committee meetings are actually supposed to be open too, but
And that's, I'm not saying anything in the committee, but there's things I wanna ask, like, if somebody shoots myself, I wanna know what's covered. You know what I mean? Somebody puts a bullet hole through it. I have questions like that too, I guess I'm curious how that works.
have you been on either side of it? Have you talked to the other?
I haven't, no,
Okay,
that's why I'm
that's
saying
okay.
I would like to be kinda involved with some of that too, but I don't, you're talking about executive session, I don't know. If a public meeting would be better, or if I can be invited to that, or.
As a city person, I don't know why you could. As a city employee,
I should be able to.
as far as the executive session part.
Are you, so you're gone the rest of the week?
This week, yeah. And they are too. South Dakota Public Insurance License is in Pierre all week. Cause they're at my convention.
Well, my thoughts were, we probably can't let the stuff drop for another whole week, so
No.
we're gonna run into the deadlines
Right.
like we did last year. And that's not fair to anybody who's got proposals.
Well, they have it on their calendar to come on the 12th. Whether you wanna have a special committee meeting or a special council meeting, that's up to you guys.
I think we need to hear things to get the ball rolling. With an apology for the confusion, would you be willing to do another presentation on the 12th to the committee? Or are you confident in the committee relaying the information to the council at that night?
I 100% trust the committee that we presented to. I mean, unless those of you that weren't there don't trust the committee, I guess that's the question. I mean,
But you plan on having somebody here on the 12th to answer questions?
yeah, if you got
If
questions.
you could at
answered,
least be
then
here.
I just, I
Then,
don't know if it's counterproductive to re-present the proposal all over again.
I don't think you need to read.
No,
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
I think,
Because that's kind of short notice. I had, other people that presented with me that also live out of town and I'd have to,
it's,
sure they'd have to rearrange their schedules to
Yeah.
make it.
so the
here.
people on the
Right.
committee, is you,
Well, we've got
And
the
it was a thorough
information too that he
presentation,
gave
I
us.
feel like
so-
I've got a pretty decent grasp on
that was my question. I was
Summary.
gonna ask the committee members if they feel like they have a good grasp of it to relay to us.
I mean, it would be nice to have Joe there and
Oh,
then
yeah.
the committee,
be there, Joe?
we've got the whole, presentation given to us. And then I think we can kind of work together with Joe to, tell what we heard.
So do you wanna go with the council meeting then, since South Dakota Public Assurance Lines will be here?
I think so, then that way we can vote after we're all done.
the. Can you be here then, Joe?
I should be, I'll just set to line up coaches for baseball practice next Monday. Sure, yeah, I can make that work.
Thanks.
well, I apologize if the relays, if the information was given that
Yeah.
you weren't aware of what our intention, what the plan was,
I
because
knew
it,
that was, you guys were gonna discuss that, but
Yeah.
I never heard a definitive answer on
Yeah.
okay,
when the next,
yeah,
when
that's,
I needed to be aware.
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
So then for public record, when do we wanna do that meeting?
You still want it at 7 o'clock?
I'm fine with it.
That works best for Will.
I think, yeah, starting
everybody
at
else?
7
because I
and,
work.
Probably everybody else, okay,
For me?
okay, have that.
And Dale did a
Motion for
motion, we
seven.
had a
did
motion.
anybody second that?
We have
That's
to,
great.
I'll second it.
but we
Okay.
have to change that motion, cause that was for executive session.
Oh,
Yeah, just so
Yeah,
regular.
regular
Just a
session,
regular
Cause you can, once you're having a meeting, you can always go into executive session.
Right.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
all right.
So, it'll be
Do we have a second?
Susan.
Okay,
Yeah.
discussion. All in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay, pool fundraising. Patrick?
So what I found out from the past, and we have some people that were on the pool committee before, but all the council has looked over the pool with our, or not all of them, but we're all informed of the condition of the pool, and we need to get some momentum going on the pool again, because it's a big question mark on how many years we have, if we have even another year. It's all kind of what happens after winter comes, of what type of repairs needed. Terry, correct me if I'm saying. We already have some funds actually donated through the Health and Wellness Fund, Payne County Health and Wellness. So we just kind of need the council to move forward with, yes, we're gonna work with Payne County Health and Wellness if we want to commit any money to the project from the city council as of right now. And then, with the engineering being so dated, because a lot of has happened since, I believe it was 2019, was engineered. The construction world has changed dramatically since then. We need to maybe possibly even have a couple bids or a couple engineers to relook at it. We gotta work with the new committee or revamp the old committee, because the ultimate design is gonna be very, very similar, but we just need to relook at it again. But I think we just need to get the ball rolling of, yep, the city's committed to a pool. We're working on a plan. And this is where we can start our fundraising and start our donations part, because we can't be a part of the fundraising, but we can say that we're committed to the project.
And I think that's what the last, pool committee meeting I attended was, that's what they were waiting on, was a commitment from the city.
And we did do a resolution with the commitment, but I don't think, I think that was maybe too late or something, they were already kind of fizzling out. Cause we do have a resolution on the books of, we're supporting this, and
Are you
But the-
committing any dollar amount or?
not for sure on that, it was, yeah. So
And I
we
think
should-
they wanted a, you know, how usually somebody, you start a
Seed money.
fund and then,
Yeah.
this is, you know, the city gave $1 million or $500,000, whatever, and that's your starting point to grow from there.
This was drew up in 21. Might have been started in 19,
Okay.
but that's, it took all the times to come up with that.
Yeah, cause before there was like 3 or 4 different designs and then
About
There was 8 or 9.
they, was
yeah.
it, okay,
We
Says
picked
version number 7 on there.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So it's,
but, they come up with a whole bunch of different ones, and that's what the committee picked.
so with the new members, we're gonna have to kind of relearn the project a little bit and re-talking to the committee, but I guess I feel like we can commit a dollar amount to the project. There's still questions to be had about getting things reorganized, but I just wanted to keep the momentum going, especially with newspaper article that just kind of informed the public about the state of the pool, and I think it'd be a good time to
And
have
we
the,
did get another donation as a result, for sure, one.
yep, so
Good.
I'd like to piggyback the momentum of that.
Okay.
Tammy was the only one that didn't get a good look at it, and she was,
The pictures were awesome though.
Really?
Yes,
No.
yes.
she was laid up when that.
Yeah, the pictures,
They don't speak.
No,
and
No.
that's the worst part is the pictures still don't speak.
They,
The whole
they,
story,
they
'cause
spoke pretty well.
You
Yeah.
can't, I have some pictures of my own where I'm sticking half my hand down in,
And that's, we would have liked Mike to have taken something like that, you know, when you specifically say, here, take a ruler, lay it beside it, take the picture, and take the ruler with it, so you have any type of, you know.
yep.
Well, when they tell you they add 5,000 gallons of water a day to it, that tells you got a major problem.
Exactly.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
water seeping away,
And that's not cheap either.
and it's just
Exactly.
contributing more and more to the problem because that water's underneath and it's putting pressure back up.
He thinks it's hollowed out underneath. and it's
Yep.
yeah,
Um,
okay, Patrick?
With, we have spoken and with at the account balance of the city, and we have, if anybody has questions for Shayla, but I feel as though that the finance was it $500,000 was a very comfortable commitment as of right now, with the option that we can always put more in, but as of right now, that is well within our operating budget to commit 500,000.
Okay,
Do you wanna make a motion to
I
that?
entertain that as a motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Okay, all in favor say aye.
I,
I,
Opposed the same. Motion carries.
No, I should have, in discussion.
Yes.
Can we keep that money here and
Yes.
keep cause our interest is fabulous right now, so if we can keep it here, but it is committed to.
I
It's
talked
just
to
a
Janice
commitment.
Smith,
Yeah.
Yep.
and so with that motion, it would be working with the health and wellness,
Yes.
that's always been
Sure.
Yep.
known. With that, it's basically, they are just a spot to park the money, is all it is, so then any donation that is received is a
Tax.
Yeah.
donation credit.
Yeah.
That people can get receipts for.
And I think your motion is okay because that's a commitment. It's just not a, you know, we reserve the right to keep the fund for the interest
Right.
purposes.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we're still okay with that, okay?
And I'll actually do a journal entry to commit that money. It's gonna
Okay.
go into, reserved, not restricted, but reserved, committed to
to
that.
earmark it for this
Yeah.
one.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay, now the bathhouse and storm shelter at the ballpark. Was somebody gonna speak on that? I know I talked to Roger, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was kind of brought to my attention, and we mentioned a little bit on whatever day we had that meeting with SPN of the poor shape that the bathroom facility is there, but also the lack of shelter. There are so many nights a week there, so many people there, and if you would have a storm come up that is dangerous, where do you go with that many people? Where do you go with any of them? You know, T-ball and Little League nights, most of those kids don't have a transportation there even. And it seems like we could probably try to take some steps forward to see what would make sense to remedy that issue and if there is grant funding available for that.
I received, this is 2019 with regard to the shelter down at the Crystal Park. There's about $330,000. I think that was the total amount. Am I
It was
right?
a project
Project
amount.
amount, and I think the city wound up paying about $80,000 towards that project. So the rest of it was in grant money. So with that regard, we'd have to get, talk to Ted and see what.
We can get a FEMA grant going. Would you guys, on those nights when there's a lot of people down there, would you be able to take some pictures of how many cars and how many kids? I don't know if you could get, it's
Well,
kinda hard
I
to,
actually
Yeah,
have
but-
that plan in place, that June 26th night that I told you.
Okay.
We've got one of our board members is gonna be flying their drone out there and making a
Perfect.
production.
that's
video.
exactly what we need.
That's what you
Another
need.
thing, the racetrack's pretty close to that, so
Yeah.
that would help with that too.
If we
Yeah.
could get a drone picture of the racetrack on a race night too.
So yeah, this kinda came up because, the last 3 years that I've been involved with the program, I've had a lot of discussions with, previously with Joel Zeller was kind of our liaison and talked about it with Roger and stuff out there, and we just, the biggest complaint we hear out there is our bathroom facilities, number one, but me, Corey, and, Brett and Tim, we're all coaches out there too, and we have practice 2-3 nights a week, and you get parents that, my team, I have 25 kids on, Tim's got 27, 28 kids, and, they all just drop their kids off, and we're stuck out there, 2 fields full of kids, and you guys know as well as we do, in June, July, this time of year, when we have baseball season, is our stormiest time of the year. Shoot, those storms can pop up out of nowhere, and we can't physically contact 25, 30 parents to say, come pick up your kids, we got a storm coming. One of these years, we're gonna get stuck out there, and we got, we're out of city, we're out of town, we can't just run to somebody's house or somewhere. It's kind of a situation where, it's something that probably needs to be, we've talked about it enough, now we need to figure out what are the next steps, how do we partner on this to figure out how we move forward and try to get something done out there.
And last year alone, we had 2 times that we had kids on all the fields, whatever. The emergency manager called me, there's a storm coming, clear out. Well, that's a lot of work getting all those kids.
Yeah.
I ended up taking half my team, I think, to my house, but
We will also need to talk to, obviously, the Legion because it's not our
Right.
land.
Mike's, he was on our board for the last
Yeah.
2 years, he's not now, Mike Wardle, so he's already aware of this, and in fact, I talked to him last week, he said, once you guys in the city, if you come up with an idea on a plan, then let us know, but he said as far as they're concerned, as long as it's not outside the main perimeter where the fence is and all the facilities are now, he doesn't foresee it being an issue, but we would just need to clear it with them before we took action.
I know this is not as much of an issue now than maybe in the past, because with regard to your, the communication factor. Can you hear the sirens out there? You probably know that before the sirens ever go off. Am I assuming something?
they called me personally, because they know I was out there, we couldn't hear any sirens.
Okay, that was,
But I
okay.
don't know if they weren't working at the time or what. I think we did, we were out
No, but
there.
I
We were
would
taking
call,
pictures.
yeah.
I
What's
guess
the
I'd
nearest
make,
siren
Right
out
here.
there?
Right here. You should probably put
That's a
one
way, I was gonna
like
say there
that
maybe
or
should
something
be
like
one
that,
out
so
there.
Here at the racetrack or the ball field.
Yeah.
I'd
Yes.
make the motion to enter the planning phase of a bathhouse/storm shelter with sub look into storm siren as well.
Like that.
Have a motion?
I second that.
Second, discussion.
Like, I
I'm actually a city engineer for the city of Huron, and we've actually been through the storm shelter, with FEMA and the review process. It's quite a long process. You guys just went through it with, Crystal, Park Storm Shelter, so. But, I guess the first steps of it, typically would be is, putting together the, proposal for FEMA, and seeing what you get for money. Typically that's 75-25, but like City of Huron got 85-15 on our storm shelter, so it can be better.
So can you write that grant process for us?
Well, the grant process would be through Ted Dickey,
Yeah,
NECOG,
right.
that you guys are already set
Yeah.
up with. But you would bring in the consultant, with their architect to put together a concept design and cost estimate, which is gonna be the requirements for your FEMA submittal.
Who did your architecture on that?
So our architecture, on that was done through Stockwell,
Stockwell?
engineers, and what, I guess I would probably back off on that, since you might have a relationship already with CDI that did Crystal Park, they're out of Brookings. I know the guys there, and I was talking through these things, so we wanted to know, was this a unicorn that we could even look at, so we're trying to get an idea of what some costs were, so that, for example, Crystal Park now is estimated to cost $500,000 if you did the same construction costs are just as good. But they said that they could put together, the information that we need, for the FEMA grant for $4,000. So that gives you an idea what.
Stockwell said that or CDI?
CDI.
Okay,
That'd be Chris Brosick.
yeah.
CDI. So we just wanted to get our, background information, do our homework, I guess, kind of knowing what we're getting into here and stuff. And, ideally, if you could, a lot of times I know like Huron, when we were looking at doing ours, the city of Huron brought in the Baseball Association to be part of those meetings, as part of the stakeholder meetings to help lay that out because we have some things that we want, there's needs, there's wants, right?
Right.
And weigh in those, but we
Okay.
would like to, have an opportunity to down the road, to laying this out, if you move forward with it, of having some input, I guess would be our intent, and we as a board have talked about, putting some money forth to it too, dedicating some.
There'd have to be a lot of planning on it because they got a lot of stuff crammed in that one building, a lot of utilities, the electrical, the water, all of that.
Yes.
Did you see where the plumbing is?
At our ball, at Crystal Park?
It's only this wide.
Right.
No way to get in there and work on it.
And those are
That was the only
adjustments that you
malfunctioning
can
design
make.
of that.
I understand the concept on that though, is that some of that plumbing footage there doesn't count towards your credit for storm shelter, and so sometimes you don't get paid for that through FEMA, so they want to maximize, your actual storm shelter, which I think it's 5 square foot per person, I believe is the way that works out. So.
That makes a little bit more sense.
That's just kind of figure out how big of a structure you want, and then you back the numbers into it as in justifying the effectiveness.
Okay.
And what it would, so.
Very good. We had a motion and a second, right? And then we had any other discussion? Input? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Special liquor licenses, Turtle Creek Saloon, June 10th, and Willie's Bar and Grill, June 17th.
Where are those at?
Yeah, that,
Did they get passed around?
No, they got
Yeah,
passed
they were
around.
in
They're
one
that
of them
book.
folders.
They're in the bills, I think.
thanks, Ron.
See ya.
See you, Ron.
Did you find them? They were tucked in the bills, I think. Check in the
With
bills.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, yep.
okay.
Okay, for Turtle Creek, it'll be on the community center, June 10th.
Do you need separate motions on those?
Yes,
We can do one motion for both of them if we want to, as long as
Okay.
you're gonna approve both.
yeah.
I
And-
move we approve both.
I'll
Turtle
second it.
Creek Saloon, June 10th, Willie's Bar and Grill, June 17th.
Okay, motion and second for the input. They'll both be held at the community center. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Oh, I thought I lost my screen. All right. Special camper site permit application.
Well, we had a committee meeting on this, and if you look at your back page, that is the application. We would not look at charging people for this. It's kind of a way to kind of keep track, because with the wind towers going in, there's gonna be a lot of campers. I know in Wessington already, everybody's renting out spots in their yard for like $600 a piece. And it's coming to a town near you soon.
It's here.
It's probably here already.
Is it listed on there that not parking on the street on the application?
I don't know if we had that on there.
Yeah, on the very bottom. it
Very
says,
bottom?
I understand that no street parking is allowed.
There you go.
Campers referred to above shall not be obstructive.
I looked at, but I didn't see that. I guess I'd make the motion, we approve that permit application to go into effect.
Is there a limit on how many you can put in your yard?
There is not. We've had some people talk about putting 4 in, I don't know.
If you've got a big yard, or you
That'd
got
be-
a separate space, or an empty lot,
That'd be tough to
Be tough to
determine.
put it in there, you know, I might have a 50 by 100 lot, somebody else might have 100 by
Plus they might all
150.
have pickup campers.
yeah.
Yeah,
Good point.
And Jeff Ganot's already got how many up on his, on here, I don't know how many he has up there.
We had a guy today looking for just a spot to park under a tree.
I had a call just before I came to the meeting. Yeah, that was his last word, I'd even take a tree.
So like if you have family that's gonna park a camper for a week, do you need to come and get a permit?
That's a good question.
Maybe we should put a time on it, like over 3 weeks or over 4 weeks or something like that.
Extended stays or something.
Yeah, so we don't have, we don't wanna hit the person that cousin Bob's coming for 5 days.
And like we said, we weren't gonna do a permit fee anyway, were we?
Yeah.
So, as long as we put on there
Okay,
extended stay only, which would be
Extended stay over,
1 month, just
Are
put.
you gonna put that on your website so they can fill it out online or
yeah, we can, yeah.
if they want to?
I think when we talked about this too, this is kind of a benefit to the citizens, because then it will, basically, we know that they're using more water or more electricity, and so there is, usually we can kind of catch that red flag
Or garbage
or whatever, but if we know that somebody's there, then, you know, your water meter and stuff ain't gonna necessarily.
That makes sense, yeah.
So,
Otherwise, Christie gets the meters and she has to send everybody out to make sure it's a valid reading,
yeah, all of a sudden it doubles or something
yeah.
compared to what.
But if she knows there's a camper or 3 on that site, then she's gonna be, oh, that water, that electric makes sense.
Okay.
that's true.
Did we have
A
a-
date on the extended stay, we kinda need a definition.
30 days.
30 days?
It's 30 days or longer.
That's fine.
Less than that, they don't need this permit.
Okay,
Patrick?
that,
Yeah.
okay,
Want a second?
second?
Second,
Okay, discussion. It has where neighbors sign off on this. To what extent are you gonna have, what neighbors, do they have to be joining the property
Or across the street?
across the street?
I'd say if they're pulling up to a property line, just like we have for any of our other buildings that have rules as far as property lines.
So if I live across the street, my input doesn't count. I'm just asking.
This one, we have a 100-mile radius, but that was that question, I mean, I live across the street, and
I'd
I
say
have a bunch of
adjacent.
little kids and I'm doing daycare, do I want all these campers across the street without my knowledge?
Yeah.
Without my permission or whatever, or even my grandkid. So we did, and that can be adjusted, that 100-mile radius is just a suggestion. 100 foot.
100 foot,
100 foot, yeah.
100 miles.
say 100 miles, I don't think.
I tell you what, I feel, no,
Yeah,
you don't know how many times I've done that in front of government class, and they, okay, I know what you mean, not what you say and stuff. So anyway,
100 foot.
100 foot, okay?
So do you need does the neighbor have to sign off prior to getting that permit? Is that, am I understanding that correctly?
Basically, it's just letting the city know that you've talked to your neighbors, they're all okay with it. You've talked to Todd Hanks, he is aware. How are you gonna handle the garbage? You know, is there gonna be more garbage in your dumpster? Does he need to bring another dumpster because you're gonna have 4 campers there?
I would say probably,
So talking to Todd and what date you talked to, I mean, that's just kind of making sure that everybody is informed.
I would say your adjacent neighbors is probably the easiest one that you actually won't get any argument from.
One, you're gonna affect directly.
Right. You start talking across the street, then you're gonna start getting more pushback on what we actually have rights to prevent.
I don't think we have any right to really approve or disapprove this.
Right.
It's just,
Information.
it's a courtesy thing.
Right. I would say your adjacent neighbor is gonna be the easiest one, or the ones that you share property with.
So you wanna change that from 100 miles to just adjacent?
Yeah.
Adjacent.
What if one neighbor says no? And they
Are they out of
put
luck?
the camper there anyway?
If it's on their property, can they stop them?
I can tell you, I can't do it.
I
There's
mean,
nothing
if
in our
it's
code
on,
book saying we can't have.
right. So I don't think we could stop them anyway, if
So
they
it'd be
said
more
no.
of, I want you aware that we're
Yeah.
gonna do this, rather than I'm asking your permission, it's just I
Yeah.
want you
Yeah.
aware.
That's better.
Key difference.
That would be
Yeah.
better.
That's probably what, when we put this out, needs to be made clear that this is the purpose of it. It's not to control and stop, it's to
Notify.
notify.
To
Yes.
get along,
Yeah,
try to
to make your neighbors.
play nice,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yes, I don't know.
Okay,
Love to
have a
somebody-
motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I think we're good.
Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, the next item of business is the electoral department employee.
Sorry I was late, wanted to get here sooner, I had a tire blow out, the other things. So, it's been kind of a day. So yes, I met with the committee. I guess you guys can help me a little bit along. We have quite a bit of work, in the future, going on, everything we're doing. Also, safety standpoint, just even the organization, we're getting ourselves too far going different ways, trying to hire different people. And then we're finding out that at the end of the day, there's still only 2 of us that will locate for the city, which is a lot of what we do. And so that still kind of cripples us a little bit.
I'm gonna stop you there, Dustin. When you say we do a lot, give me during the course of the week, how many days or,
Well, with projects and everything, we locate, I probably would say half the week for sure.
okay,
Or, have locate come in,
okay, now, any more to that? Then basically, in the committee meeting, you talked also about if we would contract somebody to come in.
Yeah, and that's where I was going. So right now we have Dakota Energy. When we absolutely need them to be on call, they will take on call, and they basically do our primary. We've been working with Hughes Electric for secondary stuff and fire calls. But at the end of the day, between them 2 companies, we don't have anybody that will locate for us. And so as far as the schooling that we do, that did hinder us on the schooling. I had to stay back. I couldn't go to some of the schooling that we are actually paying for, so we're not utilizing it. Dakota Energy said they don't locate their own line. Why would they locate ours? I'm not trying to say it like that. I guess it kind of sounds bad. Didn't mean to do that, but I checked into who they hire, and through emails, it would be about $3,000 a month to have another company locate for us. And when you figure out what we pay somebody to do any work for the city, and then you figure what we would pay to do for locating, it's still very justifiable to hire another person in my department.
Do you foresee locating slowing down after these projects are complete?
I don't, cause the state keeps coming through too. They're gonna do all the signs in town, and then they also got the projects right here going south, and they're also gonna go north.
And then you also
The-
have all your Mid-Continent or Venture, or anybody else that comes through.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, we don't have, on part of the project, Midco went in with us on our 2013 project. On our 2018 project, Venture went in that trench with us. And so what's happening is, depending on if you get mad with Midco or you want Venture or vice versa, you'll see them, like, we had 3 last week. Westcott's are in town this week, basically getting fiber to different locations. So the locating pretty much doesn't stop, and other towns that I spoke with, the time that you would have spent up in the air, say fixing and maintaining because of wind and then our winters that we have, now you're just taking that time and you're basically trying to protect your lines underground.
Do you want me to go get your show and tell that you brought to my?
Oh,
Also, your contract for that 3,000 is an annual contract. It's
yeah, it
not
is an
just
annual
for the month.
contract, and that's $3,000 a month,
And then if,
and that was only so many.
yeah, so many, then above that, if we, how many hours did that indicate? I mean, how many?
It's like 40, you said, something like that?
40 locate,
40 locates.
up to 40 locates a
Well,
month.
yeah, and that's per month, and I figure we have at least 10, probably on an average. I mean, it can be more, it can be,
10 a month?
no,
Or
a week.
10
Yeah.
a week, so 40?
I mean, it can vary, but on an average, yeah, cause there's some weeks we can't get some of the projects and stuff, and it hinders us from just even getting ahead and
See, and then I think you said, indicated that anything beyond that amount is, we're gonna pay per hour.
yes.
Right.
Yep.
One of the points that stuck with me of your proposal to the committee was, one thing I never really thought about was Midco used to be overhead everywhere. And then now that the project went through, now it's in the ground, and now it has to be located every time, whereas before it was never located because it was all overhead and it was never a digging hazard. So those overhead, utilities were never a locate before, and now they are after the project. So that was just
Yeah.
that was a point that stuck
Exactly,
with
that's
me.
a good, I mean, that's good, basically everything in Miller is underground, and if it ever did happen, if natural gas comes, yeah, you're not gonna see us. And honestly, the other thing too is, I was trying to reach out. It's really not the cheapest, to hire anybody, honestly. But it's really good for us too, to locate. We know our system then. We know exactly where stuff's at. You when it comes to fixing it, understanding circuitry, I mean, I don't really know how to, if you built the car and you worked on it, you know everything about that car. You know where, well, if you're building a house, same thing. You know where your flaws are in your drywall, you know what I mean? You know where things are at, I guess.
I know them locating crews aren't what they're cracked up to be, because talk to Tony Olson with the problems they've had being in Miller.
And it is very convenient. I just had one today from Westcott's actually, and I sent Devin over there because the locate wasn't quite worded right, but they call us just to double check to make sure that we're all on the same page. You know, you go out to the site, you have that conversation. That doesn't always happen if you hire somebody outside. I mean, hopefully they know they can still call us that way. I would rather spray more paint, go have that conversation, then come and have to dig it up and fix
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Or get a nick in it, and then basically this is what happened later on, you get a nick in something, and, I mean, we had 7 of these this year. So, all secondary, but that's the other thing, everybody's, well, it's secondary, primary, well, these secondaries are still next to our primary lines. Everything is buried together. So, it's quite a task to dig up and, take care of it, so.
But you've not just been doing locates, you've got your meters you gotta install, you've been
Yeah.
looking at the ball field.
Yep, and I also for the future, I mean, we never know where anybody's gonna be or what's gonna happen in life. But it's very, very beneficial to the city if, say, we did get in the meter project and I do have the other hand, a learning. It's just, the more knowledge that is out there, the better. So, on all the systems that we have, so.
Okay.
But it will be, it'll just be, it's more convenient. There's times that I've been dealing with, Dakota Energy, and the guy that I talk to, he doesn't technically come until like Tuesdays. And so, I'm not always necessarily getting that feedback instantly, or, it's just not as, I try to look ahead, but if something was to happen to Devin and I at the same time where we had something go on, it's still, you're waiting for that email, you're waiting to see if they can cover you. Yeah, and then also, just so you're aware, Josh has pretty much told me that he just wants to be here. Will help in emergency scenario, but wants no on call, doesn't want to be part of that. So he's kind of been out of it for a while too. So.
Well, and in due respect to Josh or anybody else, but if you're not up on a steady basis, I mean, I have a great deal of respect for electricity, and I just, with regard to that, and I want to make sure that we as members of the council and as mayor, I just want to rest assured that the person who's out there doing what needs to be done is up on everything and with regard to, safety standards and everything else, so.
We did have a committee meeting. I don't want to speak out of turn, but.
No, that's fine.
I felt like the common consensus from the committee that there was validity in hiring a third person with going forward in the right move for the city as far as where employees are at, as far as numbers and other departments as well regarding the floater. It's up to discussion as far as, but we did see the validity with all the evidence laid out in front of us.
One thing that Will had said that I really like, it's a lot easier to hire
As long as they can.
when you don't necessarily need somebody. You can.
People get expensive to hire when you're hiring out of desperation. You either end up with not quite what you're after, or you end up paying a lot more than you really want to. And you get desperate.
Yeah.
And I think we should try to not put ourselves in that situation.
And that was the point that we also wanted to make to the council, that
Yeah.
we didn't want to bring this to, I guess I've seen enough.
I was gonna say I didn't even start over there. Yeah.
That this wouldn't be a moment where we want to fill a position instantly. We want to.
It's a process.
We need to sit here and make sure that it's in the best for the future of the city.
Right.
So I would like to find somebody that definitely wants to be here, wants to have roots here. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
But-
I agree. We were thinking that we definitely need to see about getting another person.
And
Never
I
know.
also, I really feel it'll be beneficial. I mean, we don't know Ron's not here now, what's gonna happen in these other departments, if these guys ever do retire or whatever happens in their departments too, then we can kinda help them departments as far as the desperation there as well, to get somebody hired, like you were saying there. it all plays.
And Dan, that's kind of his purpose, was a floater position.
Yeah, so as far as,
So that if somebody retired or somebody needs him, he can
Uh.
step into that position.
right,
And he's been very good.
yeah, he's definitely a good hand. We've had lots of conversations.
How much time is Dan spending in the electrical department versus other departments? Percentage wise ish.
You know, most of the time he's with Ron's.
What'd you say,
With-
Terry?
He's, yeah, he's just like he said, he's with Ron most of the time.
Yep.
But they have a lot of stuff going on too, you know.
Yep,
Yeah.
and he's been trying to work on a CDL, and there's just a lot to take on, and I've tried to sit down, I don't know if, I don't want anybody to put themselves in that position, and like we talked about
Versus
before,
like the-
not having that
That
electrical
we just paid to.
background,
Or no,
it's,
that was last
it'd be
time.
pretty
Yeah,
tough not to,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be pretty tough to, unless he's with me all the time, I don't know when he could ever take call or be, he's a good hand, a good helper, you know what I mean?
But a good,
Safety
but a
standpoint.
good portion of his,
Yeah.
he's being utilized somewhere, obviously.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just that it's not as much as the, on the electrical department as elsewhere.
Right.
Right.
Well, and I think, you know, even though he may help in the electrical department, there are certain things that he probably can't do in the electrical department where you wouldn't feel comfortable for him to do.
Yeah, and I make that very well known that you do not do anything that you are not sure about, you know, so.
Okay. Anything else?
So what do we need to do from
Well,
here?
we have to make a motion to
Advertise.
advertise for,
Okay, I move that we, advertise for an electrical person.
okay,
We need to talk about a dollar amount before we
I think,
make an advertisement?
I'm not sure there doesn't need to be more discussion as far as financial.
We did go through that in the committee,
Okay, but the rest of us probably maybe
yeah,
need
we
to
can
see it.
discuss, I'm just saying we did, approve that,
Approved.
so it's in my budget, we did do that third person's salary,
It wasn't approved, it was just in your budget,
Yeah.
correct?
But the
it's
budget was
approved to put, it's in my budget, it's approved and.
But it has to just be approved to hire.
Yeah, that's what you guys are talking about now. Yeah, so there's nothing that should, as far as honestly, it hurts me more as far as my budget to keep hiring out. Because with Devin and another person, with paying all of their stuff, it was about $85 an hour versus, I mean, you're paying retirement, you're paying workman's comp, you're doing all that for two guys to sit in there, and then I have that extra guy versus paying Hughes Electric for one guy, you're gonna pay that for just one guy. Close to that, I'm not, so,
The difference is
Financially, it's better.
they're not a daily thing though. That's, I think, what we need to really look at is figure out those dollar amounts.
so, I do not like to try to hire out, trying to save that money, but it's getting to the point where we're so swamped that I'm hiring them more. Yeah, as far as a daily thing, it's just not as, it's safety wise and daily activities, it's just not as smooth. It doesn't really work.
When do you project, meter, completion?
I actually had to put completion, so they wanted to start this month, and with me trying to do scoreboards and a few other things out to the ballpark, I had to push them off, so hopefully we're gonna get started on meters in July, but I can't tell you how long that's gonna take. There's quite a bit to that, because not only just getting them online, but we need to go through and program a lot of different information into each one as we go, as to really utilize that system. Like, where does that meter get fed? What transformer does it get fed from? We're gonna be really trying to utilize that whole system to help us with outages. So,
I'm gonna have to excuse myself to go to a funeral. I apologize to the council with regard to that.
And wait, Susan has this one on the, she's the one that did the motion, is
Oh,
there a
this-
second,
yeah.
so that we can finish this? Cause she really can't take over as.
Okay, that's right.
What was the motion?
To
to
advertise.
Susan made a motion to
Oh.
advertise.
To advertise
Okay.
for an electric.
Do we need to
person.
have more specifics in that advertisement before we approve it?
I'm not ready to make a decision, cause I haven't really got to look things over, not that I don't trust what anybody has already looked at, but
I don't think we need to rush decisions either, so I mean, if it's something where we start talking about it too. I
and
don't
like
push
we were
anybody.
discussing before, it really depends on experience and stuff too. So you can't really put a dollar on it. I mean, maybe
I mean, some sort of.
Yeah, the range, that's a piece of
Yeah.
it.
Unless we wanna just table this if some members that aren't here want other questions answered.
Oh, we can do
I
that
gave my
too.
of what we had said, but I don't wanna push anybody into a vote that,
There hasn't been a second, so I
No,
mean,
we
it
c-
just died for lack of second, so.
I'm in favor of it, but I'm also in favor of continuing to talk about it. People have questions.
Okay, so we can rescind the motion?
Or we'll
Yeah,
just do
it-
it.
it just- it
It
died.
Died
as
lack
Yeah,
of
it
second.
died for lack of
Okay.
second.
But we will address this,
right.
yes.
And when you have time, Tammy, stop on down, and we can go over some of it too.
yeah. I mean, cause a lot of the questions I ask are questions that I have constituents ask.
Right, and that's my problem. I can't
Executive session about-
go through everything
Right,
up here, like, I encourage you to come in, we can go through it, I can show you exactly the difficulties, that we have. Basically, we're getting to the point right now where
get over there.
Deb and I are not here full weeks, he's gonna be losing vacation, so he's either on call or I'm on call, and so, just like me, I was on vacation today and Friday, because he took that for me, now he's gonna be gone coming up, and then I'll be gone the next one, and it's just, yeah.
Okay, so do we need a motion to table it then till the next meeting, or are we okay?
I don't know. how to-
Just put it on next time's agenda.
Okay,
Kinda work together and.
Yeah.
If you two can sit down, if you got questions and.
Does anybody, you talked to Mike about any of it at all?
No, I haven't
He might have.
seen him.
Yeah, he might have some
And
input
I can
too.
reach out to him too, I don't, is he sick or,
He's in Florida.
oh,
So
well,
not
that's,
this week.
that's better than this, okay.
Well, if you could figure out a way to get down there, I guess.
Yeah.
On your
Yeah.
oh,
own.
yeah,
On your
Okay,
own.
can you guys
There you
approve
go.
that? I'll go talk to Mike.
No, we don't,
I would say you probably wanna go in the winter time if you don't wanna.
Yeah.
we wanna look at it, but we just don't want this council to be
Right.
one that pushes a vote until
No,
some.
and that's,
And I think before you advertise it, you gotta have kind of a range of what you're looking at, what your duties are, what your pay is.
Well, and
I
you
don't
You
think
look
we're
at that
quite there yet.
municipal magazine, it's always got like, say, 25 to 35 or whatever the range is.
Right.
Depending on experience.
Well,
and that's pretty much what I was thinking. You're right in
And
there.
we-
It all just depends on.
and we gotta
I'm not
ask,
saying that's what goes
No,
on.
that's honestly, you're right in the ballpark.
Example.
Yeah.
It really just depends on
and we need to
experience.
figure out what we're hiring for too, because I know that you're getting some SCADA. Are you getting SCADA, or in the future you might be
No, we
getting
have SCADA.
Yep,
but-
so that's starting, so that might be a completely different advertise, where are we advertising for a lineman, or are we advertising for a lineman electrician that has some SCADA background, you know? it's-
Right,
And see, that's one of the things you guys approved for microcom or SCADA.
Yep, yep, so.
That's who, we already have somebody that runs that.
yeah,
Right.
so.
and if we,
For us.
another
Yeah.
reason, if we do go ahead with some of these, projects, if we get these other grants, you know, there's a lot of stuff of my job I don't get to, because I can't let Devin go work alone. And so, there's a lot of things I basically shove to the side, cause I
Sure.
can't come do them, he can't work by himself, so.
okay.
Well, let's keep
Alrighty.
talking about it.
Well, talk
So-
about it next meeting. Thank you, Devin.
Yep.
or Devin?
Dustin.
Thanks,
That's what I'm saying.
Dustin.
We have to
Starts
hire
with a
somebody with a
D.
D.
D guy.
You guys needed a different name.
Gail, you want a job?
No. Got too many now.
You got the
Yeah.
qualifications of the D.
Okay. Approval of bills?
Make a motion to approve the bills.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, down at the end. Okay. Any discussion? Not? Then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Now we have executive session. So, we need a motion probably to go into executive session.
Make a motion that we move into executive session.
Patrick?
I'll second it.
Okay, Tammy? And then all those in favor, or any more discussion to that? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Thanks, guys.
Motion carried. Okay.